to that throughout the enterprise. Whereas before, that was maybe the director would know because they were in the same location. But now the admissions managers and the president, Jim Petrillo, actually know on a daily basis how that's going and see that as a dashboard that's emailed out to them. And we, I don't try and get Jim to log on. I just basically, every night at 8 o'clock, it gets emailed out to him, his dashboard, and emailed out to the regionals and the admissions directors, the regional admissions directors as well, so that then that's way when we have our meetings with the admissions people weekly, we pull that dashboard up and show them, and they can see the names at the top. There's the president of the company, the regional for their area, their admissions regional, and here are their results on that page, and we talk about what's going on there. It gives them, it's been a lot easier to get adoption since we've done that.
Yeah, you kind of, you add that business intelligence layer to it, which is the analytics side. That allows you to look at the data a different way and really get business intelligence. And again, I think that's when you make the leap from tactical to strategic.
Right.
We talked about that, Todd. We talked about,
Yeah, I think that most people view their instance of Salesforce as a part of their business, right? And they view it as
a have to have.
As this is something that is going to help us drive our business. But if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you have a strategy around it. So even when we were building out reporting and these custom apps to drive the supply side, we knew those would be delivered to our customers. So it had to be branded correctly. It had to look the same over and over again, so that every time that paper hit that desk, they knew it was from Mosaic. Because the difference that does is it makes it so it becomes a competitive differentiator for you as a company. So as our reps were going back to visit people, they were saying, we're getting things from you that we don't get from anyone else. We want to do more business with you as a result because we understand where we are. And then from there, you have to be planning ahead. So if this is working so well, what's the next thing that we have to be concerned about? And start to think about how you can utilize the platform. So for us, we knew eventually we were going to be feeding people back in through the internet, and that when we started this, our web pages were hosted by 20 different ad agencies and companies, and we moved it all into the platform on sites, so that now it's fully integrated with Salesforce, and we can feed it data around our customers, around our dealers, around our retail channel, and have it all integrated and own that whole connection of customer experience from beginning to end.
So Sites is kind of your public-facing website stuff, and it's tied to Salesforce on the back end.
That's correct. So if you go to any of our web pages and say, find a dealer near me, it's querying the Salesforce database and pulling up the nearest dealer for you based on record type and other things.
Right, right. No, when we talked earlier, we talked about the branding nature of it and how that became a competitive differentiator for you. That's really when you start to open some eyes. Just looking at Salesforce as kind of a tool for transformation makes it more strategic than tactical. How many of you feel you're kind of stuck in a tactical cycle instead of a strategic cycle? How many of you feel Salesforce is really viewed very strategically in your organization? So everyone else is somewhere in between, right? Somewhere in between.
They want it to be strategic.
Want to be strategic and stuck a little bit more tactical.
So
sure.
I think the other thing, if we can go to the slide I sent. So one of the things that we also did was set it up so that there's some engagement with the business and that they have a say in how things work. When we rolled out Salesforce at the end of phase 1, and Julie, who was sitting in the back of the room, was part of this, at the end of the project, we had a bunch of consulting help, a bunch of IT help, because it was a big enterprise project. It was very important. Day 1 after go live, there were 350 enhancements that Julie and I were responsible for. No help, no nothing, no budget. Here you go, good luck. So the first thought is I have to run.
But this was before you were strategic, right?
Correct.
This is when it was still just, hey, here's a solution, go deploy it for me.
Exactly. And so what we did was we got these groups together and said, okay, we're going to have a North American sales core team of both leadership and key account people. And we did that throughout the whole organization. So some from Brazil, some from customer service, and you can see the diagram there. And then we said, what's the most important prioritization for you? and we talked to them every 2 weeks. So we had an ongoing call with each group every 2 weeks where we sent out the agenda and drove the conversation and made sure we understood what was the most important thing for that group today. We then feed that up into our leadership committee and say, these are the things that we're going to be working on. Is this okay? Once they hit the in-process list, they never come off until they're complete. This way you're focused on the things that you have to be focused on and delivering the most important things each step of the way. As they come off, you can roll up things from the A list into the in-process list and roll up things from the B list into the in-process list. And if someone along that way says this B item now has to be an A, you can move that up at any point, and then the next available resources for that area will pick up that thing. But it gave everyone a voice so that we were fixing the right things, and then they're engaged with us. And they're helping us drive it within the company, saying, you know, I'm getting great engagement from this team, and we're getting things accomplished.
I think the theme there is engaging the business.
Correct.
That would be the lesson learned, right? Ross, you talked about you schedule and email your dashboards. Mm-hmm. What has been the impact to that? Does that engage the business? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I mean, it's, you know, like I said, the president and the regionals for the regional directors for the schools all have Salesforce accounts. None of them have ever logged in, okay? So this actually got them engaged in this process, and it's an important process. You know, there's a couple of different areas in a beauty school, but the lifeblood of it are students. If you don't have students, nothing else works. But I mean, once you get them there, you have to keep the instructors going, you have to get clients in so that they have people to work on. You're selling retail as well, a lot of other revenue sources, but the students make it happen. But as far as the fires are all those other areas, so to really have them have some attention on this and be seeing sort of what's coming up, that they see their starts, you know, 2 to 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks in advance, how we're doing and getting those people in at a glance. Green's good, red's bad, you know. Makes a big difference, and now they're all really engaged in that process ahead of time rather than scrambling in the last 3 weeks to see if they can fill the classes.
So you've kind of turned it from a hair on fire experience to something that you can be much more predictive about.
You know, having leading indicators rather than lagging, basically. You know?
Yeah, it's always easy to try to do something about something after it's happened.
Right.
But you're far better off trying to do something about it before or while it's happening, right?
Right.
So that really, I mean, it sounds like that's helped you kind of transform the way you approach your business problems. And that's a really impressive story. I can't tell you how many CEOs I have that never log into the application, but they become consumers of the data.
Right.
And when they become consumers and reliant and trust the data, then they become your biggest supporters. They don't have to be active users. It's nice, it's great, you know, my CEO's chattering all the time. And it's nice that I can chatter back and ask a question or throw something out there, and it kind of flattens the organization. So that can be very transformational, but just having their support. We talked about that, Todd, making, you know, how much easier is your job to do with, you know, running a multinational deployment when it's strategic versus not strategic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, some of it's resources, so it's, you know, part of it is being a larger company. I mean, we're you know, a 26 billion market cap, so we have some funding. But I don't think it's related to money. I think it's related to positioning it correctly in the organization. So even if you're in a smaller organization that doesn't have that same resource, if you can get executive buy-in to say this is going to change the way we do the business, they will feed that down, and you'll get support from all the places that would normally block that kind of activity.
Right, and basically the dashboard is my way of showing that there's executive buy-in too, because the people I'm trying to put pressure on to follow the procedures and use the system properly are seeing that their boss's boss's boss is getting this every day. And if I don't update my stuff in Salesforce, you know, don't take care of my stuff in Salesforce, my thing's going to be red. So it may be that I have it on the spreadsheet, the old spreadsheet that they used to use. I may have them on my old class roster, but guess what? My class is going to be red because I didn't have that lead updated in Salesforce. Well, then that means that if any, you know, if that person gets hit by a bus or quits, that we have all the data there, another person can jump right in and take care of that. If there's a problem in one location, like DC right now has only one admissions person, we're able